Welcome back. We're still with the acting chairman of INEC, Mrs. Amina Zakari. Thank you for joining us once again.
Thank you very much.
Well, now let's find out very quickly, what are the steps you're taking ahead of the Kogi and Bayelsa elections to ensure that those little hiccups we had in the last elections do not reoccur?
Well, we normally hold meetings with the regs ahead of time, and we've held a preliminary meeting yesterday to discuss the modalities for continuous voter registration, as well as distribution of the balance of the PVCs, and then the modalities for producing new PVCs. We hold these meetings with directors, and they do presentation. They present their plans to the regs. We agree on these plans, and then the regs can go down to begin implementation. In fact, we have a robust timeline, action plan with timelines, and so far our timelines have not gone off track. We've succeeded in keeping to the timelines. The regs have had a preview of the timelines, and they've begun implementing what they require to do at the lower level, like identifying those staff that will do the continuous voter registration, checking the machines and rechecking, ensuring every part of the machine is available and functional. So we're taking it slowly. We think we still have time, but once we have the timelines and we keep to the timelines, we should be able to deliver on good elections with the same level of perfection of the 2050, if not better, because these are one-off elections and we can concentrate and put in our best for Kogi and Bayelsa. But the processes will remain the same, but we'll look at where we faltered in 2015 and improve on those areas.
You know, INEC looks forward to organizing world-class, election exercises and all of that, And I recall you saying that you have issues here and there, especially with the PVCs that you need to build up upon and you need to re-strategize. Are there certain steps you have taken to help the PVC matter, especially?
Yeah, to start with, we have to do an audit to know what we have out there, what we have sent out to the field, what has been collected, what is outstanding, and then issues of people that have not got their PVCs. We need an audit of that too. We need to get the numbers so that we can look into producing the balance of the PVCs, which is not much to start with. It's just in our records about 400,000, but we don't want to believe the data in the headquarters alone. So that's why we're sending people down to the field to ensure the data in the headquarters is the same data that is out in the field. We'll reconcile all the differences between the states and the HQ, and before we begin to take any action. But our priorities will be in Kogi and Bayelsa, because we have to produce the balance of the cards, if they have any, and then we have to produce the CVR if we're able to register a few more people. But by our calculations, we should not register more than 10%, because for both Kogi and Bayelsa, it is their third level continuous voter registration. And arising from that, once we prioritize Kogi and Bayelsa, whatever lessons we learned from the CVR, we're going to launch a national CVR exercise, which should be lasting and continuous, because it says continuous. And that's why we are meeting with the regs today to fashion out the modality for a continuous voter registration that is actually continuous.
You mentioned a committee. I know that committee, of course, we'll look forward to seeing the committee that will bring out definite recommendations, or that will look through the recommendations and implement them. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, the reason why we have to have a committee is that most of the times we do policy and we send it down to the field, and then when we get to the field we discover issues.
Like what?
Like problems with our methodology and and delivery. But after our retreat in Uyo, these issues were raised, and we have extracted all the recommendations from our retreat, as well as from our 2015 election result report, which we launched today. which we presented today, as well as observer reports and monitoring reports. And we have extracted all the recommendations, and based on that, we discovered that we needed to do a bottom-up approach in some of these practical areas where the field is implementing. The policy is from the headquarters, so we need people from the field to tell us if our ideas would work or not. So that is what we call testing of our ideas, and we have to have a scientific approach to whatever we do now, rather than think it will solve itself once it's written on paper. We have to practicalize our ideas.
See, there's one other concern, the issue of the right quorum ahead of the elections. Has that come of concern to you? Because after the elections, this might be one of the issues that any aggrieved party might raise.
Well, the quorum, the commission doesn't do a day-to-day administration. The directors do the day-to-day administration. The recs implement what the commission policy has outlined. And if you remember, all the policies have mostly been put in place. What remains to be done is implementation of these processes, and there's 14,000 INEC staff. There's still half of the recs are still there. Admin secs are sitting in for states where there are no recs. There's administration taking place every day. We look at mails, we look at files, but certainly without a full commission, nobody in his right mind will begin to do policies that require a full commission to approve. Whatever we are going to do in this transition period is to just consolidate on the gains, continue the day-to-day administration, paying salaries, making approvals that are within our limits. If they're above our limits, there's a hierarchical manner in which approvals are processed. So we go through the system, and then you can also do some approvals, and when there's a full commission, it's ratified. This has been happening when there's some days all the commissioners are out in the field. It's only the chairman, and approvals had to take place, had to happen. Once he approves, when we came back, would all sit down and ratify those approvals.
All right, before we leave, what's the major thing INEC is looking forward to having world-class, exercise like you have been talking about?
The major thing is to improve on the use of technology, because, as I always said, it ensures transparency and efficiency in our electoral process. We also need to sensitize and ginger our staff in the field to work on a day-to-day basis, so that by the time an election is round the corner, we're all attuned to the processes. We would like to see a proper communications policy. We have the policy, but we need to implement it to the latter, in which we must communicate with all our stakeholders. Our staff being our major stakeholders, they need to understand all our processes, all our policies, so that they can all be INEC ambassadors. Anywhere they go, we can all be able to speak with the same language. So for now is to manage and improve on our internal processes, get our staff into the mood of being the best election managers there are. And then when a new commission comes in, it's just to continue working, consolidating on the gains, and having less stress and less ad hoc activities, since we would have put in a routine, we would have routinized all our activities, and people have begun to understand that INEC is a 24-hour organization, not a 4-year organization, or it's a 365-day organization, not a 4-year organization.
So we're looking forward to the upcoming elections, but I just wonder, does the issue of compromise from staff or recs really bring?
Not necessarily, because I think the card reader and the processes we've put in place, the checks and balance, and the fact that the Nigerian public for the first time are actually part of our elections. They've always been aloof about elections. It has always been INEC and the politicians. But with 2015 election, we saw a dramatic change. It became the election of politicians and the public, and INEC was the onlooker. So for that, I believe the public will be our other eye in the process, and they will ensure the right things are done.
Well, thank you very much for joining us on the program, Acting Chairman INEC.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Well, thank you for your mails as always. I will take a few of them, starting from this one from Prince Amid Adekunle, who writes in from Ikeja in Lagos. Well, it says, to remove subsidy when the economy is battered will create social dislocation for the common man on the street. I support the president's reason for not removing the subsidy until he understands the whole mechanism, as in who is subsidizing what. The president has to review the joint operating agreement. Well, this next one is from the Twitter name, we'll say Pearl, and it says, the Treasury single account is a welcome development as it will help ensure transparency and accountability in public financing. Well, thank you very much for your comments. These are reactions to the interviews we had in the last editions of the program. Well, keep your views and comments coming using the address and Twitter handle on your screen. And don't forget, you can view the program on youtube.com/channelsweb/videos. Make your comments after viewing the current video as well as older episodes of the program. Remember to include your name and location. And thank you for watching this week. I'm Gloria Umezike. See you again.